Dear kind and loving Father, who art in heaven, as we embark on this venture in the interest of the air conditioning and refrigeration industry, we ask, dear God, that our discussions and interactions be meaningful, respectful, and transparent as we strive to uplift the standards in these industries, especially the air conditioning industry. We ask, dear God, that you grant us the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to engage in a meaningful way and bring about positive change. Amen.
Every Wednesday night that I arrive on this TV station, because at the end of the day, we have to thank our God in every aspect of life. Director, again, a little reverberation, if you could address that, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, I wish again to thank you for tuning in to Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Talks. Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Talks is a very, I would say, has just spawned. We are just approximately a month old, and thus far I am getting some very nice reviews as we interact and bring about different issues in the air conditioning and refrigeration industry. Last week I spoke about air quality and duct cleaning and those different type of things. As I say, air conditioning is vast. It's a lot to speak on in terms of air conditioning and refrigeration. And I by myself cannot and would not attempt to try to speak on every aspect in air conditioning. And I'm saying air quality. Do we know that the indoor air quality can be 10 times worse than the quality of air on the outside? Well, if you don't believe what I just said, I have someone here tonight, an esteemed guest, who would speak on the subject matter of air quality. So without further ado, I'll turn over to my guest, who will give an overview and a total aspect of himself. So he will explain in terms of air quality. So ladies and gentlemen, tonight, I have with me Mr. Rishi Shafi. He's an engineer at Kariri. I want to say it's a pleasure, Mr. Shafi, for you to be here. So right away, I'll take it in person to Mr. Shafi.
Hi, thank you again, Steve.
Well, thank you first of all to be here, so I appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
So I've been working at Kariri for 13 years, moving up to my current position of environmental engineer. Always in the field of conducting indoor quality assessments and gaining experience, knowledge, competencies. In this field, you have to be competent and qualified, and during that time, I became a certified indoor environmentalist, and as well as a certified industrial hygienist. So in my role, I perform, supervise, and prepare indoor air quality reports for clients, both locally as well as regionally,
Okay.
throughout the Caribbean.
Very good,
And,
very good.
It's not just one-off. We also provide consultancies in many fields in respect to the occupational health environment.
Well, you hold an esteemed position, and I also would say a position that looks after people's health.
Yes, it's one of the careers where you actually do see a direct impact in terms of the work that you do. It is something that you can immediately see that the whatever recommendations that you put, it does to the benefit of a lot of people who are in the buildings that you conduct the assessments in.
Okay, well, we are on a program, Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Talks. And I thought told myself it would have been fitting to communicate with Kariri, who does air testing or the quality of air. As I mentioned, the opening of the program, I indicated that our rooms, our homes, indoor spaces, the airflow within these spaces is 10 times, or could be quote unquote, 10 times more dangerous than the outdoor air. Am I speaking the truth, or could you elaborate on that for me, sir?
Sure. So in terms of indoor air quality, when we speak about that term, it's basically the air quality within a built environment. The built environment means a room, it could be a floor space, a building, and it specifically looks at the occupants' health and comfort. So when we look at indoor air quality, we look at the effects of individuals in terms of their health effects. These health effects could be short-term as well as long-term.
Okay.
And in terms of the indoor environment, because it's in enclosed spaces, and it's very easy for pollutants to enter into the environment and remain if it's not dealt with. And because we as humans, we're constantly exchanging air, and as opposed to outside where, you know, there's a vast amount of fresh air and there's air movement, within the built environment, the indoor environment, it's not that.
Okay.
It's not that.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's not that at that level.
Basically static air.
Yes, air. It's stagnant, and you would get many symptoms. And I mean, if I start to list them, you know, itchy eyes, burning nose, coughing, lethargy, feeling ill. You know, you're fine on the weekend, but when you come to work you enter into this building, you know, you immediately start to get these symptoms. So this is where, you know, conducting an indoor air quality test is beneficial, and that is where we in Kariri get these requests.
Okay, so what you are saying is someone is in a room, because as we know, first off, I want to believe 90%, or if not more, of people in our country has air conditioning in their homes. Because we live in a tropical country, and we know how, even though rain is falling, it tends to be humid, and sometimes you may need the air conditioning even when rain is falling. So I want to believe, and when you are in that air-conditioned space, as you walk in, you will breathe in, because you say, yes, outside is stuffy, it's sticky, in here is cold air, you are comfortable. But what you are saying, you could be breathing in air that is detrimental to your health. That is based on the fact that you are saying, over the weekend you would be fine. When you walk into your office space and what have you, you start to get itchy eyes, runny nose, that nostalgia kind of feeling.
Yeah.
So am I right in that aspect in terms of air quality?
Well, in terms of the extent that you put it, 90%, it's more pertaining towards the types of pollutants in the atmosphere.
Okay.
Not all buildings are the same, and you know, if you test the air quality now, it may be different within an hour. There may be many factors, many environmental factors, such as fire, such as changes in the atmospheric conditions with respect to rainfall, flooding, issues of air conditioning units going down, and the controlled environment where the air conditioning system is now operating is no longer there. So these things happen, and we can discuss why they happen, and what are the parameters or the pollutants that cause these effects that people tend to get when they spend a significant time within a polluted environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let us go straight to the hip, for better term.
Sure.
What you are saying, we are in an air conditioning space, And we know that the air condition unit needs to be serviced on a regular basis, quarterly as the case may be. But yes, we are in this space, the air condition unit is cooling. You cannot see with the visible eyes certain particles which is in your space. And so the unit over a period of time will build molds and algae within the space. How do you, well, of course, you have to have certain instruments to test the air quality of the space. So give us an idea how you all go about testing the air quality, or a two-part question, do you all recommend to certain stakeholders to do an air quality check, in other words, engage people to do air quality checks and stuff like that, and how you go about it?
Okay, so to answer your question, so to begin with, in Trinidad, there isn't any specific legislation that, that gives a requirement that you need to conduct an indoor air quality test at a certain requirement. However, if we were to look at the OSHA Act, where you have to conduct risk assessments in a workplace annually. So if you're conducting a risk assessment, right, you need factual data. This is where indoor air quality tests will come in, and certain bodies such as OSHA, they have mandated some companies, and then there's some companies who have a proactive initiative, and there's some companies who have it's based on complaints. That is more of the rationale.
Right. If the workers start to complain and what have you, then you look into it. When the host done boldly stable.
Yeah, and the frequency now, because a risk assessment is something that is considered that you have to conduct it annually, this is where you may probably want to look at conducting an indoor air quality test, provided that if you have any changes to the overall layout or changes to equipment, things that impact the indoor air quality, then you would want to do something what we call a baseline test to determine what are the levels. Now, with respect to what are we going to look at? So, with respect to air, we would call it invisible. If we would look at it.
Yes.
We could use that term, but it's not invisible. It's just that what we're looking for is so small.
Okay.
So we're talking about, in terms of a unit of measurement, microns. Because your lungs, the distance between the lungs and your blood is just one cell.
Okay.
So it's quite small. So, in terms of the parameters such as particulates and gases and mold and viruses and all these things that affect or cause respiratory aggravations.
Okay.
This is what we would look at. And we would look at the capturing these parameters in portable instruments, and we would put them at various locations throughout your building.
Okay.
Yeah, and over a predetermined time interval. And this is where now we would look at the data.
Okay.
We would be able to download it. It would give us units of measurements, and then, when we get it, what does it mean? So there are certain standards. Now, locally, there aren't any, but there are many internationally accepted standards, such as ASHRAE, such as ECGIH, such as NIOSH, even OSHA, where we would now compare them, and we would see, okay, we would use it as a guide for the client or the person who requests the assessment, for them to now see, okay, this is my levels. Okay, what do I need to do next? All right. So if there's any issues or concerns, then we move into the field of recommendations.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, you say your instruments should be set at specific points within the space, and then after a couple of days or so, you'll get the data. It will read out the time and the different things within, and then you do recommendation.
Yes.
So ladies and gentlemen, you are on Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Talks, and I have with me a senior engineer at Kariri. We are discussing air quality. We also have a little video what we'll play in terms of air quality. So the video is approximately 6 minutes, but what we will do, we'll let the video run a little and then we'll come back to Mr. Shafi to explain as we play the video, and Mr. Shafi will explain to give us a better idea in terms of air quality on air conditioning and refrigeration talks.
When we think of air quality, we tend to think mainly of external air pollution caused by industrial plants and vehicular exhaust. But indoor air quality can also have serious effects on our health and well-being, and can be up to 10 times worse than the quality of the air outside. Over the last 3 decades here in Trinidad and Tobago and the rest of the Caribbean, we have experienced a growth in population, industrial development, labor force, and seen an increase in the number of buildings. Consequently, there is an increase in the number of persons working in enclosed environments. The World Health Organization estimates that every year indoor air pollution is responsible for the death of 1.6 million people. That is 1 death every 20 seconds. And given the length of time we spend indoors, at school, or on the job, exposure to air pollutants can be a silent, life-threatening menace if left untreated. Breathing bad indoor air all day can be hazardous to our health. Join us as we show you how the staff of scientists and professionals at Kariri can help you to clean the air by identifying indoor environmental-related problems and providing solutions to reduce its risks.
We at Kariri have the latest technology and instrumentation to test your air for any indoor environmental contaminant present in your building. Some of the more common indoor environmental contaminants include dust, asbestos, fiberglass, fungal spores, bacteria which can grow in stagnant water and drain pans in air handler units, gases in the form of volatile organic compounds which can come from cleaners, disinfectants, paints, glues, and even from carpet and furniture. Even building occupants in the form of perfumes, body odor, and carbon dioxide, indoor allergens such as dust mites which can grow in carpet and fabric partitions, and ozone from photocopiers. There are several symptoms that are associated with poor indoor air quality. These include skin rashes, dryness of the skin and eyes, throat and nose, headaches, dizziness, nausea, sinus congestion, shortness of breath, coughing and sneezing, and even hypersensitivity and allergies. Many of these symptoms can be caused by other health conditions such as the common cold or flu and may not necessarily be due to poor indoor air quality. Based on the type of complaints experienced in a building, Kariri can help you to determine what indoor air quality contaminants may be needed to be tested to determine the root cause of a poor indoor air quality experience in a building. People generally notice their symptoms after a few hours in work, and symptoms dissipate after they have left the building or they are on vacation or over the weekend. At Kariri, we have found that the common causes of poor indoor air quality include improperly or inadequately maintained air conditioning systems, the lack of introduction of outdoor air into buildings leading to the continuous recirculation of the indoor air, and 3, contamination by construction.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, our air conditioning units. It is important to service our air conditioning unit on a regular basis. Not to say all the time, but we would know when our air conditioning units need servicing. It isn't, I would say, healthy to know after 3 months or at least 4 months you are not servicing your AC unit and you already indicate that we didn't use it that much. With the naked eye cannot see the particles. There are instruments which is being used which would show the different things in terms of the air condition, the different particles or the different stuff in the unit. So I'll turn over to Mr. Shafi, who will give us an idea of what takes place based on the air conditioning unit if you don't service the unit on time.
Sure. So, with respect to air conditioning units, we can probably look at them in terms of categorizing them as they may be split units or they may be air handler units, centralized systems. So split units, you know, there's an industry standard every 3 months, but based on your environment, if you are in, you know, in a quite dusty environment, you know, it may mean that you need to probably readjust it sooner to even 2 months or even 1 month. It depends. And you know, you may be also in a quite cleaner environment where you may probably want to move from quarterly to probably every 4-5 months. It depends on how you would go about using this as a guide. So it's just not a standard. I mean, it's always a good precautionary approach that you take, that you don't wait until you know, your air conditioning systems are responding poorly. You know, there's issues with respect to comfort as in cooling, there's malodors. You know, there are signs that you could look at. And you know, the first thing that most people look at is the smell, which is the smell of mold, and that will give you the indication, oh, okay, you know, that unit needs to be serviced. However, if there's a proactive initiative before that, the scent of mold should not even occur. So with respect to split as well as centralized systems, they all operate under the same principle, but it all depends on how you go about looking at servicing your units to improve your comfort as well as your health.
Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, we had a call coming in. I don't know if the director could go through the call. Someone called a while ago. So I don't know if the person is still online, or if you are not online still, you could try to call us. And who was trying to call, you could call us back, and you could have a discussion with Mr. Shafi in terms of any questions, in terms of the discussion, in terms of air quality, as we are speaking tonight on air quality. And what better person to speak on air quality than somebody, an engineer from Kariri. And Kariri is the only company in the Caribbean with this type of qualification. Am I right, sir?
At this point, I can only speak about us, but I believe there are 1 or 2 companies, but we have quite a few. We have a team of competent and certified indoor environmentalists, as well as certified microbiology consultants.
Okay.
So with respect to who are trained in terms of know about identifying the solutions to whatever indoor air quality problems may occur.
Okay.
Yeah.
Caller, good night. Hello, good night. So, if the caller is hearing, we are not hearing you, but we are speaking air quality on air conditioning and refrigeration talks, and I want to advise the listening public. Most of us would have air conditioning units in our homes, and we do not know the dangers that is taking place with particles and different things that we cannot see. As the video explained, there are different things which would contribute to the air pollution in our homes, in our spaces. There are a lot of things which would be in our space, which we did not. There are things like dust, asbestos, fiberglass, bacteria which grows in our drain pans if we do not service our unit on time. And sometimes, you see, it is said that pollutants is responsible for the death of 1.6 million people. Am I right or wrong, sir?
You are both right, as well as it needs to be updated.
It needs to be updated, so it could be more than.
It actually is more than.
Well, you see, ladies and gentlemen,
yeah.
So you explain to us the dangers in not servicing a unit on time. You see, as I indicated in the beginning, we go in a room, it's cool, you're breathing, it's better than outside, but not realizing we are breathing in a lot of bacteria and stuff. So you being the professional, you explain to us the dangers of not cleaning our ducts and these different type of things.
Sure. So, so with respect to bacteria, and there's this saying that, once we hear bacteria, not all bacteria is bad. We develop immunity by when we are exposed to certain types of viruses and bacteria, and that helps us as a organism to survive and to move on in our lives in terms of building immunity. With respect to your question, with respect to the deaths, so it's probably close to, the last report was between 5 to 7 million deaths per year.
Rachel, I wish for you to reiterate and speak a little louder. Let us hear a little more decibel. So those on the outside will hear what you are saying.
So even though I'm smiling, it's quite unfortunate that there are about 5 to 7 deaths, 5 to 7 million deaths, and that is between, I believe, the 2022 or 2024 reports. Now these deaths, these are related to what we call the environment, specifically to household environments, residential environments, and these are more pertaining to the underdeveloped countries that use solids as fuels. They use certain types of fuels that would give off combustible sources that are quite dangerous to breathe in. And these deaths, if we look at the classifications of it, it's stroke, it's heart attack, it's things that deals with your breathing and your ability to function normally, and even to the point of exposure to certain pollutants to the event of lung cancer, because some of the some substances at certain levels, they can cause lung cancer, and there's quite a lot of research being done. We can easily look at it. There are lists of the type of cancers, and even in your occupational environment. And the point of me speaking about it is not to raise a red flag or anything, but getting back in terms of indoor air quality and the built environment that we are in is very important that we look after it in terms of proper management, in terms of the way that we would go about, even from, let's look at design. Most people, if they have an office space, they would want to condition it. Yes. The first thing they would look at is, they might say, what is the cheapest option? But the cheapest option may not be the safest option. And I'm saying that because if you're looking at a split air conditioning unit, right? You may probably look at just having an air conditioning unit for cooling. Okay. But if you look at the air conditioning unit, there are other parts of it that assist in your health. There's filters.
Bringing in fresh air and what have I get you.
There are filters, and in split units, you look at these filters, and when you put them under a light, you can see basically through it.
I get you.
And you're asking yourself, what is this filtering? Okay. Now, in terms of a work environment, you're exposed into a different environment as opposed to residential. Residential, you're more in control of what's going on in your home, but when you're in the occupational environment, there's a lot of uncontrolled sources. You bring in new furniture, and you have that certain smell, and it may smell quite pleasing. Say, for instance, that new car smell when you buy a new vehicle, but that actually is a pollutant. Okay. One of the main parameters there is formaldehyde, which is a parameter which is quite of concern that we actually do monitor.
What is that word?
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde. Yes. Okay, that's a bad thing. It's dangerous to your health.
Yeah, it's actually listed as one of the cancers that you can.
Okay, so you see, you are bringing awareness to the viewing public. So so much people are getting sick, sir. And based on this discussion, I'm hoping that we take note. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm coming up to a break, so we'll take a break, and then we'll come back to Mr. Shafi, who will share more information in terms on air conditioning talks in terms of air quality. See you very soon.
Dear kind and loving Father, who art in heaven, as we embark on this venture in the interest of the air conditioning and refrigeration industry, we ask, dear God,
Due to climate change and increasing temperatures, Supreme Air Conditioning of 25 Councilman Circular Barataria has reduced the prices on all brand AC units, residential and commercial. Call us at 689-3087 or 365-1163. Already have air-conditioned units? Need reliable professional service? Then call Supreme Air Conditioning at 689-3087 or 365-1163. Supreme Air Conditioning is not only about competing prices. We do it right the first time.
Key to a successful business is the quality of the human being that you have working in that business. If you have quality, you end up with a quality business. It's as simple as that.
Peak Technologies Limited is primarily an air conditioning contracting company. We offer commercial and residential air conditioning, sales, installation and service. Our small unit sales division is responsible for sales and installation, that is for residential air conditioning. Then we have the commercial air conditioning aspect where engineering does the design and installation along with ductwork and so on. We have our service department which conducts all the maintenance servicing for our contract customers.
welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Talks, where we are discussing air quality, and nobody better to do it than the organization Kariri, who is being represented by
Rishi Shafi.
Mr. Rishi Shafi. I love to trouble people to make sure they are here. So Mr. Rishi Shafi, an engineer at Kariri, is with us tonight discussing air quality. And I wish to pay commendation or say thanks to Ms. Alicia Williams, who is the marketing manager at Kariri. Ms. Alicia, I wish to expressly thank you. On Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Talks, we have two segments. Schools that shine bright and things that make you go, oops, you know, when you see something and say, oops. So I'll go into the first segment, things that makes you go, oops.
आया परदेसा आया परदेसा जवानियां दी मंड काट दी है कसमे खुदा दी है ये मजबूरियां असी पाकिस्तान फलन भी नहीं देंदी पंजाब दे जाए कन्ना नाल लग लग रोइए
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, our breaking the ice segment, as I would call it, things that makes you go, oops. So we are here again with Mr. Shafi, who is discussing air quality tonight. So we'll go straight back to Mr. Rishi Shafi, who could give us some idea as to a different aspect in terms of air quality. So you could go ahead, Mr. Shafi.
Sure. So just follow up on my previous points about the, the parameters that you would encounter with respect to the environment. And we spoke about formaldehyde. But getting back to before that, with respect to split air conditioning units, they have some issues with respect to filtration and ventilation.
Okay, Mr. Shafi, I would like for you to hold your thoughts as we have a caller.
Sure.
So, caller, good night. Caller, good night.
Hello.
Good night, good night. Go ahead, go ahead. I'm hearing you, sir.
Yes, this is Devon Lawrence. I'm Limited. How are you doing, Steve?
Hey, I'm fine, sir. I'm fine.
Yes. You're talking about something that is up my alley.
Oh, you mean air quality?
Air quality. Yeah, my thing is dog cleaning.
Okay, because you do dog cleaning. Yeah. Okay, yes. So,
yes, this is Devon was on the show.
So, what would you like to, your input in terms of the discussion?
Yeah. Well, I've been doing this for the last 17 years.
Okay.
And I've been there. I've seen it all. I've seen mold. I know how dirty inside of the ducts could really be.
Okay.
So everything that the gentleman is discussing there, I have seen it firsthand.
Okay, okay. Well, this is Mr. Devon. Mr. Devon has a cleaning. He was on the program with us, and he indicated he goes into the building when everybody leaves the building to do his work. Yeah, am I right, Mr. Devon?
You are correct.
So give us an idea, as you're online, you could give us an idea as to your job. You say you have seen it all because you are in the docks, and give us a little idea before we go back to Mr. Shafi as to what you normally would see in the docks and what the normal eye or the normal person who is working wouldn't see. Give us an idea as to what you would see and the measures, I would say, managers and owners of businesses should take in terms of air quality.
Yeah, so what I basically do is go into the building when the docks are very extremely dirty. Most of the times it reaches to the point where it starts to affect the employees and patrons of whatever establishment it is, and then I come in. The thing is when you go inside of there, most of the times what you encounter inside there is more or less fiberglass.
Okay.
Loose fiberglass from bad ducted work that they done previously. Most of the time is if they don't service the unit on time, you get to see all the dust that escape through the filters, or if you don't put the adequate filters inside of the air conditioning units, that dust end up inside of the ducting system, and it gathers inside of there, and this is what caused the bad air quality.
Okay, well, I appreciate your call, Mr. Devon. And,
Yes.
oh yes, so we are getting a little idea of who is Mr. Devon. This is Mr. Devon here, Mr. Devon Lawrence, who was on our program live. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the gentleman who just called in. He has a company who deals with the air quality. So at some point in time, I'll give you all his information so you all can call Mr. Devon. Yes, there we have Mr. Devon and Mr. Oliveri on our past program. So this, as I indicated, this program, Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Talks, is vast. There are many aspects which I cannot, and colloquial language, quote and unquote, I wouldn't mamagai myself to pretend I can speak on everything where air conditioning and refrigeration is concerned. So before I take you on back to Mr. Shafi, I would like you all to, we are streaming live on YouTube. We are also streaming live on Facebook. As I indicated, this program is young, and I would like for you all to subscribe, like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube so this program could grow. So I'll take you back to Mr. Shafi.
Sure, thank you. So, tying into what the gentleman just called in and mentioned, duct cleaning is a very, very important aspect of maintaining indoor air quality levels that are acceptable levels of indoor air quality. So what I've found in terms of my experiences, when we look at duct cleaning, you need to do a duct cleanliness inspection. Okay. And this duct cleanliness inspection is based on a standard called NADCA. I can't remember exactly what the acronym means, but it's an American standard where it recommends that you inspect the ducts at least once per year. Okay. Right? And duct cleaning, there are certain characteristics that they list, but if there's any, some form of particulates, you're seeing settled on diffusers, you're seeing it on the ducts.
Or even on the ceiling. Yeah. Just where the air is blowing, that area is always dark and musty looking.
Yeah, as well as the gentleman mentioned, if you saw fibers coming out of
the fiberglass.
That means that it's likely that your insulation is compromised. It's compromised. It reaches to a form where we call friable, that is easily become easily broken, and that's likely due to.
And that is cancerous.
Well, the fibers itself, they are man-made fibers. So more than likely, what you would get when you have fiberglass contamination is people complaining of itching skins.
Okay.
And you get more respiratory symptoms, coughing and eye irritations, because these fibers, they come on your skin, and there are some individuals who are, we can call it immunocompromised. They have asthma, they have pre-existing ailments, and they're not compared to us, compared to normal people, they would experience these symptoms, and it would be quite different to us. And this is where, duct cleaning is very important. Yes. It's a critical part of maintaining acceptable indoor air quality.
Now, you mentioned, Mr. Shafi, these are your words. You indicated that ducts supposed to be quote unquote every year or yearly. Mr. Shafi, I could tell you, because I'm in the industry for years, there are places I am aware of which is fully air conditioned for years, Mr. Shafi. I could go as far as how much years? Who has never, I don't know if, well, I know they have never done, clean their ducts, and people are within the space. You see? So I think there's supposed to be a more level of awareness to let us know about the concerns and the dangers involved in the air conditioning industry where the air is concerned. Because as you indicated, 1.6 million people.
Even more.
And even more, your statistics have to be updated. So when you see people are sick and when you go in the hospital by the dozens and the scores and by the hundreds every day, so it leaves you to wonder. Most people would say the sickness is because of a certain food, which starts with K and end with C. That way people would say. But now you are saying air quality. So ladies and gentlemen, this is a scientific institution. Is Korea not a scientific institution? Am I right or wrong? I'm just saying.
I mean, we can go along that.
Yeah, because I believe you all do certain things, certain instruments, which is scientific, to come up with these statistics and what have you. So I think this should be more out there. You see, we have to be practical, Mr. Shafi. If you are selling a situation where health is concerned, I think a lot of people should buy into it. So you could expand again and let us know what is really taking place in terms of air quality. That's what you are here for. Give us the data, give us it.
Well, in terms of the trends, there are more companies adopting the proactive approach.
Okay, that is good.
Yeah, and just to re-emphasize, it's not duct cleaning every year, but you do an inspection.
Inspection, right? Yes,
and,
yes.
And the inspection may even need to be done even more frequent based on, your environment. If you're in a dusty environment, or say for instance you're working in a quarry or things that give you significant contributors to particulates in terms of pollution. So there is increase in trends. In the corporate world, there are people who are more sensitized to the term indoor air quality.
Right, okay.
In terms of even government buildings and ministries, we get quite a lot of work because they would look at the report to use for guidance in terms of dealing with the challenges they may encounter. So it's something that it's been sensitized. The public is becoming aware. We at Korea, we do try to through our marketing, social media pages.
I believe that is important.
And even me being here tonight, to promote this knowledge in terms of becoming aware.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will take it a break. And when we come back, I want to ask Mr. Shafi a question. All these services, could you give us an idea? What, if you have to pay for these services, give us an idea as to what is taking place in terms of that aspect. So we'll go for a break, and when we come back, Mr. Shafi will give us an idea.
climate change and increasing temperatures, Supreme Air Conditioning of 25 Councilman Circular Barataria has reduced the prices on all brand AC units, residential and commercial. Call us at 689-3087 or 365-1163. Already have air-conditioned units? Need reliable professional service? Then call Supreme Air Conditioning at 689-3087 or 365-1163. Supreme Air Conditioning is not only about competing prices. We do it right the first time.
Key to a successful business is the quality of the human being that you have working in that business. If you have quality, you end up with a quality business. It's as simple as that.
Peak Technologies Limited is primarily an air conditioning contracting company. We offer commercial and residential air conditioning, sales, installation and service. Our small unit sales division is responsible for sales and installation, that is for residential air conditioning. Then we have the commercial air conditioning aspect where engineering does the design and installation along with ductwork and so on. We have our service department which conducts all the maintenance servicing for our contract customers.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, how time flies. So what we'll go straight in the School That Shine Bright segment, and then we'll come back to Mr. Shafri for his closing remarks.
Principals, along with teachers, do their best to instill discipline, tolerance, and productivity in their students. Schools that excel should be celebrated. Let's celebrate schools that shine bright.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Schools That Shine Bright segment is a segment where we'll highlight schools in the positive, because too much we are seeing negatives highlighted on social media pertaining to schools. So, Mr. Shafri, before we went to the break, I asked the services what you all have. Could you give us an idea as to what are the particulars if we need your career services?
Sure. So, yes, our service comes at a cost.
Okay.
If you wish to engage us, you can go to our website, www.kuriri.com, or if you can reach out to us on our social media platforms. So how it would go is that you would engage us. We would either take the information through a call, or we will do a site visit free of charge. The site visit will identify the number of points, locations, the parameters of concern, and the expectations of the report, what will involve. Once you agree to it, we will come in, we'll conduct the testing, we'll provide the recommendations if necessary, and have a close-up meeting to explain the report in detail so you answer any questions or concerns that you may have.
So you're saying the site visit is free?
Yes. The site
so
visit.
Do you have a number that you could leave with the listening public and the viewing public or fan?
Sure. Our PBX is 299-0210. The extension is 3500 or 3518. Or you can just ask for the indoor air quality department, or we have a new name for department, occupational hygiene services.
Okay.
All right, so you can reach out to us, and we'll contact you as soon as possible, and to see how we can assist you in the best possible way.
So ladies and gentlemen, you can, well, I'm seeing the director is putting up something with Kariri here. The site visit is free. So all those who are viewing us, who has never touched your system in terms of the ducting, feel free to contact Kariri. You could ask to speak to Mr. Shafi, and he'll do a free site visit, as he indicated, to find out if your building needs to be duct cleaned, the air quality in your space. It isn't fair that we have people working in buildings, big establishments, multi-million-dollar businesses, and people are falling sick, as we heard the amount of millions. So it's only fair that Kariri offers a free site visit. You call Kariri at no cost. They will come set up their equipment in different areas within your space. Am I right?
No.
No, it isn't done that way. You give us an idea. We have 2 minutes. Let us know. Because it's important.
The site visit is free of charge.
Right.
But the site visit will lead to a quotation or proposal. So
Okay.
I apologize if I missed that part.
Okay.
So the proposal will have our terms of payment, and once you agree, and it's normally 50% down payment.
Okay.
And then we would come in, we would plan the project, we would conduct the monitoring, and before we submit the report, the balance is paid, and that is the general.
Okay, the balance is paid after the report would be handed over after the balance. Okay.
Yeah.
So I see this as a business or any corporation or is seeking the interest of their workers by engaging Kariri to come in to look into their space. So in closing, Mr. Shafi, I wish to thank you very much, sir, for coming to enlighten the entire public. So Trinidad and Tobago, let's live healthy. Pleasant night.
Dear kind and loving Father, who art in heaven, as we embark on this venture in the interest of the air conditioning and refrigeration industry, we ask, dear God, that our discussions and interactions be meaningful, respectful, and transparent as we strive to uplift the standards in these industries, especially the air conditioning industry. We ask, dear God, that you grant us the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to engage in a meaningful way and bring about positive change. Amen.